welcome back. Today, Fredo and I are here to talk about the concept of over-delivering without overextending. Something that I see pretty commonly in the balloon community, comments, discussion forums, stuff like that, is on the lines of what to charge, how do you charge for this particular thing? How do you charge for this? Or my clients don't want balloon chains, so I don't make them because they cost more or they take more time and, stuff like that. Or actually another very commonly asked question that I see is how do you guys get clients? Nobody wants to how do you get these high-end clients? Nobody wants the things that add money to a job, like balloon chains and stuff like that. So I think that for me, something that a strategy or a mindset that has worked for me is the idea of over delivering without overextending. Now, this can be dangerous because it's the line between over delivering and overextending is kind of thin, which is why I want to talk about it. And I also think that it's really important to make the distinction between over delivering and undercharging, which they're kind of they're quite similar, but not. So undercharging is when you have been asked to quote a job or to do a job, and the job that you have been asked to do, you don't charge enough for. Let's say that your client wants a birthday party with a foam backdrop or a wooden backdrop or whatever, a backdrop that says "Happy Birthday, Johnny," and a 6-foot garland, and that's what they've asked for. Undercharging is not charging enough for that exact job. And only charging, I don't know, I would have to run it through my pricing formula before I told you exactly how much I would charge for that. But I know that $100 isn't enough. Okay, so let's just say you charged $100 for that particular request. That's undercharging. Over delivering is when you charge an appropriate amount. Again, I'm just going to throw out a number, and I would run it through my price calculator before I offered this quote, but let's just say $300. That's not undercharging, but what's the difference with over delivering? So that's all I've asked for, right? Again, backdrop, Happy Birthday, Johnny, and a 6-foot garland. You could put greenery in your garland. You could do balloon chain clusters, like the small 5-inch cluster chains. You could add foils, a couple of foils. You could add, maybe you have some foils on hand. You could add, let's say it's a dinosaur theme. You could add, when you're cutting the vinyl for Happy Birthday, Johnny, maybe you cut an extra piece of vinyl that is a dinosaur head silhouette or something like that. These are all little elements that do take more time and they do cost more money, but that your client didn't ask for. And you could try to upsell. That's totally fine. Be do you want this, this, and this? But 9 times out of 10, the client's probably going to say no. You're going to say, do you want balloon 5-inch cluster chains for an extra $50? And the client's going to be I don't even know. I don't care. I don't care if I get cluster chains. I'm not giving you an extra $50. Or do you want a dinosaur head and they're, for an extra whatever, and they're just gonna be nah, I don't really need it that much. They're not gonna say yes, probably. If they do, great, upsell them for sure. However, if they don't, and it's easy for you to do, okay, that is the difference. You're not gonna go spend more money. Foils is actually probably a good example of what you maybe wouldn't do unless you have them on hand. I've got an extra dinosaur foil from a job that I did a year ago. I don't know when I'm going to use it. It's just gathering dust. The value of adding it into this garland and the extra little touch that would give for this job that I have in hand right now is totally worth it to me, even though the client isn't paying for it. That's fine. But I'm not going to go buy foils for a client that didn't ask for foils, right? Or I'm watching my favorite TV show. I'm done with the base 6-foot garland and I'm just whatever. I don't care. I'm going to make a couple of extra little clusters because I want to practice it. Fine. That's not overextending yourself. Adding in florals and greenery is also usually not really overextending if you have it on hand. You're not going to go out and buy extra, but you have it on hand. It's easy enough to throw in your thing and just poke it in and bam, you've taken it up a notch. This is over delivering. You're delivering for more than what was requested, and you can certainly ask your client if it's okay. Once you're there, they're not going to say no. Usually, is it okay if I add in a little extra greenery for this? Of course, they're going to be sure. Is it okay? I had this extra foil laying around. Is it okay if I put it on? Yeah, totally. Thanks. Nobody they're probably not going to say no. Ask just in case, but they're probably not going to say no. That's an easy way to over deliver. And what you do by that is a lot of things. First of all, you have a happy client because they got a bargain. They got more than they asked for. Everybody likes that. Nobody's going to say no to basically freebies, right? So you have a happy client. You also have a more elevated, let's say you quoted that $300 job, and by over delivering, you turned it into a $350 or a $400 job. Well, now you have a $350 or $400 job in your portfolio, so that for the next client and the next one, they see that that's what you're capable of. And I'm telling you, what starts to happen, and it's not every time, it's not every client, and especially in the beginning, but like the more and more you do, the more portfolio you build up, the more photos of your work that you can have behind you to prove to people that you are worth the money that you charge, because people need pictures. Like otherwise, how in the world do they know that they're going to get their money's worth for $400? Of course, people want to know that. The more of those you have, the more you're going to have people say, I'm going to leave it to you. This is my theme. I've seen your work. I try, like, just make it happen for like, or this is my price or my budget. Or tell me what, they start to like give you more freedom because they trust you more because they've seen what you can do. Like I had one recently that was like, I want the floral wall that I saw in your setup from like this whatever picture, and these are the colors and like my must-haves. Beyond that, I will leave it to you. To like put together, based on what I've seen. The more you have, the more people are just going to trust you with that. And then you can stop charging people per, little balloon cluster or one piece of foil or stuff like that. And that's when you get that value charge that I'm always talking about in my pricing videos, where you can just be like, my cost is not in this little bit, in this little bit, in this little bit. Like I'm accounting for the goods and my time, but I'm not like breaking down every little piece. It's more so this like big picture of like, this is the product that I bring you. And because my product is so high end, and I've proven with that client that didn't ask for it, I've proven that I can create high end work. Now I'm charging for high end work at baseline. And your next client wants that look with the extra greenery and the extra this and that, right? And then you can over deliver on that one and add a little extra of whatever they didn't ask for. Maybe it's, I don't know, a bobo, or I'm trying to think of some things that I've like over delivered with. Like occasionally, and this is only if I really feel like it. Again, I don't want to overextend myself, and it is easy to do. You have to ask yourself this, like, is this worth the future that it could give for me? But maybe a glitter bobo or something like that. Like, if I have the bandwidth and the time and it doesn't really make a big difference to me, then that's the next higher end client that I'm going to get. And now you've got this portfolio of all of this awesome work that you've been building without overextending yourself. So I don't know. This is probably like one of those opinions that not everybody is going to agree with me on, and that's okay. I'm sure, understandably, a lot of people out there that will tell you charge for every single thing that you do and don't do anything that you don't charge for because your time is worth money, etc. And I totally get that. My only like follow up to that is, you might never get to that next level. If you never make anything, unless you have a client who knows balloons and who knows what they're talking about when they make requests of you, they're not going to know to request it. They're not going to understand how much those little details would elevate their design and how worth it would actually be. They're not going to know. So unless you get lucky and find that client, they're not going to find you. So that is my personal belief, mindset, whatever, and it's working for me so far. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. If you guys have thoughts or questions or, whatever about it, drop them below. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Happy ballooning.